to another episode of Fatal Female Friday. Sorry for not uploading last week. I was actually dealing with a lot of work stuff and personal stuff going on in my life. And so for this week I actually will have a double upload. So the video that's supposed to be uploaded last week and this week. The story that I had for last week, it actually is another modern case. Well, I guess not modern because it did take place about 20 years ago. But I guess it is still modern considering to all the other videos I did. You know, the ones back in the early 1900s and late 1800s and stuff like that. And unlike the other videos, she actually didn't act alone. There's actually a man that accompanies her, so I guess this would be like our first killer couples video that we've done. But hopefully it won't be. But I can tell you right now, it won't be the last because I have others planned. But I could definitely say this one's the first, at least on this channel. And so, yeah, for this video, we actually have a lot to uncover, so at least from what I can find. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so the female we're referring to in this case, her name is Tina Marie Duke, and her partner's name, it was her partner at the time of the crimes, is Donald Ray Wheat. Um, so obviously I gotta go through their backstory and how everything came to be and all that good stuff, right? Okay, so Donald is said to be born in 1954, but it doesn't give me an exact date. And so, yeah, we're really gonna start with Donald, and then I'm gonna go into Tina, and then we're gonna see how the two came together and did what they did. So basically, in 1971, because Donald is allegedly born in 1954, so I guess he's do the math. That's what 16, 17. So yeah, in 1971, Donald was actually arrested for manslaughter because he stabbed the cousin who had died. Larry Holcomb, who was said to be 20 at the time he died, so died pretty young. He somehow actually got parole after 10 years and they tried to actually rebuild his life. So at least you gotta give him credit. At least he tried to. He wasn't oh, practically got away with it, got off with a slap on the wrist, and went out and did other stuff. But unfortunately, that's not how it happened. Otherwise, I would be making this video. And so he tried to rebuild his life, but I guess that didn't work out because he went and did a robbery in Talladega, and then went and got 2 more years. And so, if that wasn't crazy enough, he actually escaped and was out for 2 days. But then, once they brought him back and he was caught and everything, he got a year and a day added to his sentence. So I guess 3 years and a day, or maybe a little less than that, because it doesn't say how deep into a sentence he was when he escaped. So, despite escaping from jail on June 23rd, 1975, he was actually paroled again.
How, Sway?
So now let's go to Tina. Tina had suffered from cervical cancer for 5 years, and she was actually suffering from major panic attacks. She was selling homemade crafts, but she actually had stopped because she was scared of people having people taking advantage of her, and she would have her money stolen. As far as we know, her money never got stolen from her, but that was a fear that she had. And so yeah, there were days where she would be up for nonstop, and there'd be other days where she would just sleep in all day, just. One thing that Donald and Tina both had in common were the fact that they both had claimed they had a brain tumor. And so let me get back to Donald first for a little bit. According to his ex-wife, Bovine Wheat, because he was married at one point, but it never says actually when they got married. Donald actually took antidepressants, was living off disability checks, and took care of the garden. And he did little jobs around for the little community that he was in. And so it was also alleged that in the early 90s, Donald had gotten into this injury from being a farmhand, and it required him to be in bed, he was bedridden, and he had pain from back surgery. And so Bovine and Donald unfortunately did split in 1998. The year after, in 1999, Donald had actually tried committing suicide by overdosing on Xanax. Uh, yeah, like I mentioned with the brain tumor earlier, it is believed that because he had told Bovine about the brain tumor, so it's believed he told her that. And so I don't It never says whether or not that's actually true, but he believed that he didn't have long to live anyway, so like what's the point of living, I guess? And yeah, so I couldn't find any sources as to how Donald and Tina even met or when they started dating. Like literally it goes from the suicide attempt straight to the murders. So that's like a good 3 year age gap we're talking here. So the first murder that we know of that was committed by this couple, because spoiler alert, it's not just one that we know of that was committed by this couple, was committed on May 10th, 2002. And apparently in this convenience store in Bowdoin, Georgia, there was the owner of the company is, well, not the, excuse me, not the company, but the owner of the convenience store, so I would guess the manager, whatever his title was, it doesn't say. Travis Richardson, he was shot and killed. And remember that name because I will be mentioning it. It wasn't bad. They actually committed another murder in Waldo, Alabama, but I guess like nobody died. Otherwise, it would have said like, "Oh, someone died." Um, so I guess they're just trying to do like one lick a day or something. Because May 12th, so like 2 days later, this is the third robbery in a row. A customer, so not even an employee, not even a manager, just a random customer at the wrong place at the wrong time. She receives this. She gets shot in the head during a robbery at like at a Crown gas station, but luckily she somehow survives. Later on, doesn't exactly say like what dates, but assume it's after May 12th. We know that for sure. So at least we have one survivor and one dead. So then later on, there's this female that was actually stabbed 10 times, but miraculously she actually survived too. So I guess they weren't like, at least it didn't say like whether or not they were life threatening, but they survived after being stabbed 10 times. That's just, yeah. And so that robbery where like the female was stabbed 10 times but she survived. That robbery was apparently at a movie theater in Heflin, Alabama. So I guess they're just staying in Alabama. Well, that one, not counting that one crime committed in Georgia. I guess they're staying in Alabama, but I guess that would make sense considering how close Georgia and Alabama are together. So now we've committed 4 robberies, and you got one dead and 2 survivors that we know of. In case I'm confusing you. So here we are, May 15th, 2002. The reason why I'm making this video in Anniston, Alabama, and so at this Blockbuster, because Blockbuster was basically like the old-fashioned version of Netflix, basically. But instead of it coming to you, you had to like go to it, and it was like really popular. But as most of you know, Blockbuster's obviously no longer in business. So yeah, so on this Wednesday night, there were actually prior to the robbery, there was actually 4 men in the store. 2 of them were employees, so they worked there. The other 2 were customers, and then the 2 customers that were there, they were brothers. The employees' name were Douglas Edward Neal, who was 27, and he was like the manager of the store. And then the other employee was Austin Carl Joplin, who was like 23. Austin's shift had actually ended at 5, but Austin wanted to like stay behind and like um help Doug, who Douglas, who was the manager, right? He wanted to help him with the rush because I guess had he not, because it doesn't say any other employees that were there that we know of. So like had Austin not stayed behind, Doug would have been by himself. But just the manager by himself, no employees or anything. So the 2 brothers, Joseph Michael Birch, who was 20, and then you got Andrew Birch, who was 19. So I guess, one was born right there at the other. They actually had plans to eat pizza and watch a movie with their mother. After they were going to go leave, after they were going to go pick up the car, because they wanted the car to go get tinted. And so it was also said they actually went to JCPenney to get this little certificate, like I guess like a gift certificate or whatever, for their mom for Mother's Day. Because I guess Mother's Day hadn't passed yet. So since the car wasn't finished, like I guess I don't know how long it takes to tint a car, but I guess it must have took longer than they expected. So the car wasn't finished. So he waited. Sorry, by he I mean Joseph. Joseph, the big brother, basically waited till Andrew, who was the little brother, got home from his job at the Supreme Beverage before heading down to Aniston to the Blockbuster, where this all occurred. And so yeah, here's where Donald and Tina Marie come in. They come in. They come in. The two brothers were shot. All all four of them are shot execution style. The two brothers are shot like I guess in the store area, like where the videos are, and then the two employees. I guess they were trying to get in the safe, and when they couldn't like get into the safe like quick enough, for because again this is a robbery, but also we're killing people too. So they couldn't get in the safe quick enough, and I guess that made Donald mad, and so he shot them execution style because they were shot nearby the safe. So it's believed, we're trying to get more money, and so Donald ended up killing all four of them. From the story I read, Donald killed all four of them. Tina was just there as an accomplice, a willing accomplice from what I read, and so I assume Tina Marie and Donald leave the scene because obviously you just killed four people. And oh yeah, by the way, they only got away with $100 and like all $1 bills. So four people are dead for $100.
Really, nigga?
So remember the two customers that I said were brothers. So obviously they have the same mom and the same mom and dad, and so their mother, I guess maternal instincts. She was obviously worried when they didn't come home. Like it was starting to get late. They're not coming home, so she assumed they got into a wreck. And so, she assumed they got into a wreck. And so it went until she had found out about the massacre that took place at a Blockbuster. Because I guess she knew that they went to Blockbuster. So she connected the dots and was like, and then she was told that her two sons, which unfortunately were the only kids that she had and probably will ever have, are now deceased. And they were murdered. Austin, the employee, his father, whose name is Terry, he was actually going to invite Austin to dinner because he was supposed to go off at 5, like I originally said. And, 5 o'clock, that's normally what, like dinner time, like dinner rush. And so he drove by. And so it was I guess he hit like after 5 because he didn't know that Austin was staying late. And so he drove by, he saw the police tape and everything, and he knew something was wrong. He drove by, saw his truck was there, and he was like, "Oh well, his truck's there. It's past 5. He's not coming. As he's staying late, whatever." And so it wasn't until later. It doesn't say how much later, but it says like later he saw the crime scene tape. So I guess he went back up there to see what was going on or whatever. And so he saw the crime scene tape, and that's when he found out what had happened that Austin did not make it. Um, it said that a customer. Sorry if I didn't mention this, but it said that a customer actually was the one that called, like the one that walked in and saw all the bodies. I guess they were like, again, Blockbuster was really popular back then. It was booming. It was basically like Netflix back in the day. So obviously somebody else walks in. They see. I assume they saw all the bodies and then called the police. And so that's how the scene was discovered. Like a customer had walked in case I had mentioned earlier. And so I don't know how, but somehow they managed to get a description of the person that's believed to have done this. And so they had a bulletin, a statewide bulletin for a white male between 18 and 20 that drove a white Mustang and had blonde hair.
How, Sway? Take a
I don't know how they got that specific, but they somehow managed to get that specific. And the thing is, Don was nowhere near 18 or 20. As you'll find out later, I think he was like in his late 40s. So that's like double the age they assumed it was. So Donald could have easily got away if he wanted to. At first, for them to have such a pretty description like that, at first I thought it was because Because you would think like a Blockbuster, you would have like cameras in the building, right? But apparently they had checked the cameras. Of course, like any robbery that results in murder or just robbery in general, and they checked the cameras, and the cameras did not have images of the murder. No, which is kind of a good thing considering they were shot execution style, but it kind of sucks because you kind of need that camera footage to kind of like know who the killer is because like they just shot four innocent people execution style. There might be more people, and this is and I from what I read, Aniston is Alabama. That's a pretty small town, so obviously I'm sure there's going to be panic. We don't need any more murders. So it said they didn't have to go looking for him. Like literally 2 days later, Donald did the right thing. Was I'm not saying killing the people was the right thing, but he did the right thing as far as like for his consequences. Like he turned himself in, and so like, but he had his attorney though, and it said in Ashland, Alabama. That's where he turned himself in. Donald had pleaded guilty so that his family and so Donald, like he said, like, did you commit these murders? Yes, I did. He pleads guilty on purpose so that his family and the victim's family, because again, we're talking four families just in the Blockbuster alone, right? Not to mention Travis, and then you got the two little survivors. We're mainly focused on the little Blockbuster with the four murders. But luckily for us, Alabama law, because most of these murders and the two attempted murders did take place in Alabama. So by Alabama law actually requires a trial in all capital murder cases. And again, this is multiple murders, so you already know there's going to be a capital murder case. And so yeah, if I didn't make it clear, Donald basically like pled guilty so that his family would not have to see the crime scene photos, so they wouldn't see what he had done. Um, There's only one site that said this, but apparently Donald had a son who was like 25 at the time this happened. So Donald has a son, 25. Apparently, his name Edward. Edward basically said that Donald couldn't have committed those murders because Donald was with me. Donald was with me the night of the murder, so it couldn't have been me. But there's never been any proof as to like verify that he was in fact with his son. And so the crazy thing about it is when Donald had to testify, officers actually had to stand in between the witness stand where Donald was testifying, because you have to go up there and like testify, and the victim's family out of fear the victims might go and, attack Donald as retaliation for what he did to their loved one. And so when Donald was up there testifying, he had actually said that his now ex, because I assume sometime between the murders and the trial they broke up, he basically said his little ex, Tina Marie, she was equally involved in the killing and actually killed three of the four victims in the little Blockbuster massacre, and that he only killed one of them. And instead, he only killed like Andrew, so like the baby brother from the Birch family, but Tina killed everybody else.
If I'm going down, I'm taking everybody with me.
Donald even had the audacity to say that he also went along because Tina, not him, but Tina needed the money, and that Tina had claimed that she'd even done this before, so that she had experience in killing people, and that he went along as a dare. It's Tina's turn to testify. Tina said that she only complied because she was scared of him after the convenience store murder, because apparently it wasn't even supposed to be a murder, it was supposed to be just a robbery, and nobody was supposed to die. But once Travis died, obviously things turned south. It said Tina wasn't even. Well, sorry. Tina says that she wasn't even present when the Blockbuster murders happened, but she can't exactly give an alibi as to where she was when it happened.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my god. Stop you fucking lying.
But however, despite denying that she was, in fact, like she wasn't at the Blockbuster murders, she did admit that, yes, I was, in fact, at the Talladega. Opiklia. I probably pronounced that so wrong. Y'all forgive me, but it's up here. Up there somewhere. And the Heflin robberies. Tina even said that Donald said that killing, so like killing people, gave her Wait, sorry, gave him a rush, unlike drugs and alcohol, and that she should try it too just to see what it was like. And so, yeah, as far as I know, Tina is actually only serving 2 years for possessing a gun taken from Travis, and she was only tracked because she left the gun at the
You
Blockbuster
are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
after committing the murders. So they didn't even take the gun with them. You remember it's 2002, so they got DNA and stuff. It's not as great as it is now, and it's definitely not as great as it's gonna be in the future. But they got DNA, so they somehow were able to trace her and Donald at the scene because their DNA was on that gun. Right before Donald was sentenced, because Tina got sentenced at this point, she got the 2 years for stealing Travis's gun. Donald asked his defense lawyer, Randy Mullenler, to read a statement basically saying that he wishes nothing more than death. Like, I deserve the death penalty after I killed all these people. They somehow actually got witnesses to defend Donald, despite what he did, and they said that Donald actually suffered from depression and illusions to hepatitis, and go as far as to even say he had liver cancer. Now, the liver cancer, I can't exactly back that up and say whether or not it's true, but we know at least the depression part, that part's real, because he was taking antidepressants. The crazy thing about Don being convicted, it actually took less than an hour for the jury to convict him. And if it takes you that short of a time to convict someone, like less than an hour, that's how you know you're screwed. And so Donald, of course, because you committed 5 murders and 2 attempted murders, and then you got the one girl shot in the head. She's clinging to life. As far as I know, she's still alive because it ain't ever said she died later on or anything. So as far as we know, she's still alive. Um, Donald obviously was sent to death. After the verdict was read out, the victim's family actually, like, all the victim families who've like never met each other before and were only connected because this man had killed all their loved ones and that's the only thing they had in common. They're all hugging each other, like crying, like out of relief that he actually got sentenced. I guess they all actually wanted death for this man, considering what he had done. It's a twist of events. Sydney Birch was like the mother of Joseph and Andrew, the two brothers who were killed in the Blockbuster thing. She actually said that she wanted all death row inmates like have their death sentence blocked. So in other words, like don't kill them, like I guess make them serve life in prison, and then the only way they're gonna get out is like in a body bag. Like when you die and leave this earth, that's the only way you're leaving prison is in a body bag when you leave this earth, basically. And so when you know it, Donald was actually one of those people who actually died before he could even get the death sentence, um, before he can even get his death sentence like executed. No, no pun intended. Like literally, before he can even get executed, he died. He passed away at age 50 on May 6, 2004, from cirrhosis. Again, I gotta put it up there because I don't know how to pronounce these words. At Holman Prison. So Donald is now dead. A month after his death, so it said like June, like mid June of the same year, and it said that basically set aside his death penalty sentence because he was already dead anyway. So what's the point, like try to carry it out or whatever? Um, Nowadays the building, like the Blockbuster building itself, was actually shut down as a result of the murders. Obviously for like very good reason. 4 years later, so I guess 2008. My bad. 2008, part of the building was torn down. It was actually built to be a doctor's office. So I don't know if it didn't say, but I don't know if that's the part of the building where like the murders happened and they basically tore that down. It doesn't say, but just know part of it got torn down. Family members, the surviving family members of the victims from the Blockbuster massacre, they actually occasionally come and leave like crosses in memory of the victims, like all 4 of them. And so I hate to leave it off on this, but it's actually said that the building is actually haunted. like from the spirits of the four men that did die that day, because like it said that people who are in the building or at least nearby the building, they have this feeling of being watched. There's like cold wind on the right side. I assume the right side of the building, and actually shadows without a body. So yeah, that ends it for the episode of Fatal Female Friday. Sorry there actually wasn't a lot of information on Tina. Like literally everything I told you was literally everything I could find in the short amount of time that I had to research. Because y'all know I only have 1 week to research these cases. I try to research them as soon as the video is up, but literally not much is said about Tina. Um, Tina, as far as I know, she may still be alive. She may not be. She may have even went as far as to change her name. Yeah, that's it for today's episode, and I will see you guys, I guess, in a few minutes. Bye!